Hello there. A while back, I did a tour of the Xbox 360 store before Xbox, aka Microsoft, closed it down. I thought today we'd do a quick scan of the PlayStation Network on PS3. So let's have a glance at it and see what we've actually got on here. Nothing's really featured anymore. A few adverts there for Shadow of Mordor. Black Ops 2, which I've got, although I haven't got the gold edition. I imagine a lot of these are probably delisted by today's. Oh, yep. 44.99. Yowzers, that's quite a bit. The PSN store on PS3 is incredibly slow, like incredibly slow. GTA. Wow, to think that game's been on 3 generations of systems: PS3, PS4, PS5. 360, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Series S, Series X. That's mental. Never played Minecraft. No, I've got on PS4, I think, Minecraft. Watch Dogs. Never played Watch Dogs. There was a lot of hype around it, but again, Ubisoft. Not a massive fan, if I'm honest. Evil Within, I've yet to play that. I know it's from the creators or the creator of Resident Evil. Far Cry 3 is excellent. I played that on PC back in 2012 or something, 12, 13. Never played the 4th, 5th, or the 6th because they looked basically exactly the same. And I believe Ubisoft are in a lot of trouble. I believe they're not even their stock. I don't fully understand the stock market, but I believe they're not even. Is it their company shares aren't even trading at the moment or something? Apparently, so probably points to very bad things coming up. Payday 2. I think I've got one of the Paydays on Steam. I played it once or twice. It's actually quite fun. Getting a team together and like robbing a bank and stuff, but I've not really dabbled with it that much. Advanced Warfare, I remember that was the one that people didn't like because I think you could gravitate or sort of jetpack or something. Sounds kind of interesting to me. Rayman Legends, I like the first Rayman back on PS1, but I've not really liked a lot of the others, to be honest. I don't know what it is about it. It's just something weird about it. I'm not sure what. Assassin's Creed, Black Flag is decent. I think I've got I got downloaded for on Xbox One, I believe, when I had one. I've never played Rogue, but again, Assassin's Creed has been done to death. It's just, you know, I enjoyed. I got the second one, didn't enjoy it, and people like those original games. I don't know, I just kind of find it tedious. I did enjoy Origins and Odyssey. I believe those ones with the RPG mechanics, which were actually quite good. But I played for a lot of must have been about 30, 40 hours of Origins, and I burned out on it, to be honest. And Odyssey was good fun, but again, I didn't play a lot of it because again, I'd burned out on that genre of game at that point. It might be something to go back and try, given the fact that Odyssey in particular looks incredible graphically. More Black Ops, Arkham Collection. I've got variations on 360 and PS3. I've just started streaming Arkham Origins. I picked up the other week. I'm waiting on my sealed copy of Origins on PS3, but it's got lost in the post, so I don't know what's happened to it. Need for Speed Most Wanted. That might be the worst Need for Speed Most Wanted. I didn't like it very much. The best one's the original. Well, the 2005 version. That's the one that's actually gone up in price. I think particularly on 360. I think it's about £50-70 game now for some weird reason. And yet on other platforms it's the same price. I've got a copy of it on disc on PC, but it just seems to be the console version seems to be going up in price. I'm not sure why exactly. Red Dead, that's just been re-released on modern generations again, which is it's a good game. I've never played through it properly. I played through 20 hours of it or something, and I was just spent most of the time exploring, and I never did manage to access. I think it was Mexico, I believe. Black Flag, as I've said, that is supposed to get another remaster, supposedly, along with Splinter Cell. There's Arkham Origins. That's a really underrated game, and it deserves more praise than it gets. It is essentially very similar to the other games in almost every way, but I do like the fact that he's more young, he's naive, he's particularly angry a lot of the time, but it's so it makes him do silly things and make mistakes, but it's really, really good. And it's really, really cheap as well, whether it's on PS3 or 360. Wolfenstein The New Order, I've played that. Alien Isolation, I have a copy of that on PS4. And I installed it on my PS5, and unfortunately it got wrecked in the post. And in fact, I will show it off quickly. It's a good version. Unfortunately it's destroyed. As you can see, it came in and I installed it, and unfortunately there's some marks on the disc, and it only installs about 15 gig of the disc of the game, sorry, and it won't install anymore. So yes, thank you Royal Mail for that one, much and very much appreciated. As I said, they've also lost my Arkham Origins on PS3 as well that I picked up, and that was sealed. Destiny, so it's not a great deal. DuckTales, that's the NES game that was I think it's NES that was remastered. I think I've played it once on maybe an emulator or something. It's fun for what it is. It's just a very sort of basic platformer. But if you want to torture someone, just play the DuckTales music back over and over to more and more as an interrogation technique, because it's incredible. They'll want to hang themselves as soon as possible. That was weird. Anyway, these are all kind of digital only, weird indie games. I have never heard of any of these. Shantae, that is a franchise that some of the games on that are very, very expensive, particularly I believe it's the Game Boy Color Color, I believe. It was re-released, I think, on a limited run as well. I've got a couple of new games coming. I saw a roguelike one, Ninja Turtles, Splintered Fate, looks kind of interesting. It's got kind of like a Diablo, it's like a roguelike, like Diablo mechanics and stuff, so that looks kind of fun. I've got Metroid Prime Remaster, even though I've got the Metroid Prime games on GameCube, so I've picked that up on Switch. I also have... I've completely forgot my train of thought. Right. Hitman, I was in the mood for that stealth itch, and since I've got Metal Gear to finish, and then that's it, and I've got nothing else really stealth-based. And Hitman is actually a stealth-based game, but I've never played any of the Hitmans, so I picked up the Hitman... Is it World of Assassinations on PS5, which I believe is Hitman 1, 2, and 3, all sort of combined into one, so it looked kind of interesting. And also I've got Hitman, the HD trilogy on PS3 coming, so I'll get that installed when I can. And I've also got Hitman, is it Absolution? Now you can get on PS5 Absolution and Blood Money in HD on PS5. It's like 50 quid, and there's no physical version of it for some reason. So I've just stuck with the PS3 versions for now to see, because I've been getting more PS3 discs, particularly because anything digital on this system, apparently it has a clock, there's a battery in it that's tied to your PSN, sort of, if I'm understanding correctly, your PS5 account, and like an authentication that you own these games. And when the battery goes dead, you may not be able to authenticate with those servers again. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I'm understanding that correctly, but if that's the case, that is kind of worrying. And since Sony haven't put out a fix for it, I'm not too keen on whether I'm going to lose access to all those games. What is more annoying is that I think, and I imagine it's due to licenses and with different third parties, but I'd love to see the remaining like Resident Evil games I've got in here go straight from PS3 to PS5, but I imagine they'd have to pay out some type of money to the the developer, like Capcom, for instance, and any other developer, same sort of situation. So I don't know how that would work exactly. I've played one of the Abe's Odyssey games, I believe. It's not a Vita games, actually, looking at this. And that was, I think that was back on the PS1. And they're quirky games and quite puzzle-based and, well, platform with a lot of puzzles in them. But it seemed quite good. But I've not played any of the modern iterations since then, really. Don't Starve, I've got that on PC. It's a good fun game. More fun when you're playing Don't Starve together with other people and stuff. Never heard of that. Joe Danger, I think I've heard of them. But most of these are just like really sort of. Do you know what I mean? I think that was that, I believe, was a release game, if I'm remembering what Mystic said on his channel. I think it's Mystic. Yeah, he's a big PlayStation guy. He has a very, very good, very, very impressive collection of games on just every platform. But he does some really cool videos as well. That game wanted to put my head for a while because it was so hard at times, particularly even the first level in the desert. Geez, the enemies just respawn consistently. Blaze Rush, not heard of that. I don't think I've heard of just about any of these games, to be honest. Medieval Defenders. And in fact, I imagine a lot of these games are just being digital only and stuff. But it is a lot of, you could call it shovelware, I guess. The Wii was bad for that. The Wii had so much shovelware, it was kind of gross, to be honest, the amount that they had. That's why I never really regard the Wii as a particularly impressive system. In terms of sales, it was very impressive, and bringing sort of more casual people, to particularly grandparents and parents, do gaming with the kids and even adults. But in terms of, as a really incredible system, I don't know. I never had one though, so I can't really throw too much shade at it. I suppose my brother had one, and the couple of games I did play were good. But Wii boxing and stuff like that was. But I never played anything really that, I guess you could say, that was really that time conducing in terms of like really hardcore types of games. So you got a few demos on here. There is one on here that is getting up in price on PS3, and that is it 3D Dot Heroes, which is like a Zelda type of game. It's sort of based on or very similar in some veins to the original Legend of Zelda back on the NES. It's that kind of art, or that kind of style of 3D graphics and that. It's but with more of a, obviously, a modern twist. Oddsworld, Stranger's Wrath. Lightning Returns, I started playing that on, well, I dabbled in it on 360, I think it was, or Series X. No, Series X, I think it was. It's backwards compat. I don't play many JRPGs. I have been made efforts to play through Final Fantasy VII. That one is quite a lot of fun once you sort of understand and kind of get into the mechanics of it and that. Puppeteer, I've heard that's quite a pricey one now. Game gets getting up in money price now, I believe, for collecting purposes. The Sly Cooper games, yep, they are picking up in price as well, as far as I'm aware. Starhawk, I've never heard of it. There's also Warhawk, I believe. I tell you what games that are good on this. The MotorStorm games are wicked. I remember that when it's shown seeing that at E3 when it was shown one year on, it must have been on YouTube or something. It was really bizarre. Moderation Nation, I remember that. Mod Nation Racers, that was one that was quite popular back when it came out, but I've not played it since. Uncharted Golden Abyss, I've never played. That's the only Uncharted game I haven't actually played. Wipeout 2048, Wipeout really popular, particularly on PS1. Only time I ever really played it. The Darkness, that was like a shooting game, but with supernatural mechanics, so he could have tentacles, if I remember correctly, coming out of him. I only ever played the demo for it. Harry Potter Lego, God of War Volume Collection 2. Oh, it goes to Sparta. Oh, and they've got a demo for that. Resistance 3. I could never really get into the Resistance games. I got into the more modern God of War games, but I didn't really like the old God of War games. I just don't like the... There was something about it that just didn't put me off. I might make an effort one day to go back to it. Ratchet and Clank, again, not really a platforming guy. But I can see why people like it. PlayStation Move Heroes, I remember that. It was like a big Smash Bros. PlayStation version. Never really played it. Killzone, I don't know why, because those games actually look really good, but I just never got into it at all. I think it was Killzone, was it 2 on PS3? As I said, that one's good. That's a lot of fun, particularly when you boost and all the destructible environments around you and stuff. Heavy Rain Move Edition. Heavy Rain, I've seen them. They're more like interactive cutscenes just to watch you make a decision, and that's about it. There's not really a lot of gameplay there, but the stories can be kind of interesting and quirky. A lot of celebrities in those particular games. Sports Championship, I remember that. That was when the Kinect and the PlayStation Move were really, really popular, trying to compete with the Wii, which was kind of weird, but that's just how they did it. Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 is probably the best Uncharted game, probably, in terms of set pieces and that. Especially the train segment when you're running through the train and it's like falling into places being blown up by the... I think it's the helicopter or something that chases you, if I remember correctly, in the set pieces and stuff. That is good. Ghostbusters is really, really good. It's well worth picking it up because it's been remastered, I think, since. Nearly everything's been remastered at this point. It's bizarre. Motorstorm Pacific Rift, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know if that's the next game on from Apocalypse or the one before, but they're all good and they're all probably well worth picking up. Maybe want to pick up on disc at some point. Burst Limit, I remember that. Yeah, not bad. Not as good as Budokai on PS2, and I think there's the HD ones, HD Budokai 1 and Budokai 3 on PS3, but I've not had the chance to pick that one up yet. I remember Super Stardust HD. That was a fun game for what it was. Uncharted was a very, very cool introduction to Nathan Drake. The thing between Uncharted and Tomb Raider is that I know Tomb Raider is more the game that introduced a lot of that stuff, particularly on the PS1. But I don't know, like it might be the more modern ones, but I tend to find Nathan Drake's a more interesting character. He's just more interesting, particularly Lara, more so the more modern ones. She's just kind of boring. Although she does have some really amazing death animations, I'll give you that one. But obviously Tomb Raider is the start of all this type. They create that type of genre anyway, generally. But those original PS1 games they're kind of really, really janky. But I've got a kind of a weird special place in my heart for them. Yeah, I'm not nostalgic about them, but it's because I had the second game when I got my original PS1 back in 97? Something like that. So it's a weird one, but I do prefer Uncharted. But Uncharted hasn't had a game since PS4, I believe it was. That was a release game, Heavenly Sword. I've heard quite a lot about that, actually, but I've never actually played it. The Simpsons game, I have no idea exactly what it is. I know there's a wrestling one, but I looked at it because I was tempted to pick it up. But when I actually saw the gameplay, I was like, no, it looked naff, to be honest. But original Motorstorm, Ridge Racer 7, Vita only games. I've never owned a Vita. That's a popular one, A Boy and His Blood, though, I believe. But I've never really owned a Vita, so I can't really speak. I played a PSP. I borrowed one off a friend, and yeah, it was alright. Flipping took ages to load, though. God. I think it was about 2 minutes for a game to load on that system. Because of the... it used like proprietary, like, disc-type cartridges, if I remember correctly. So I remember playing one of the wrestling games on it, and it took forever to load a Royal Rumble or anything at all. But it was decent. It was one of the 2K, when was it, 12 or something, or 11? I can't remember off the top of my head. I've never played Arkham Origins Blackgate, which is like a 2.5D Arkham game. It's like side-scrolling, if I remember correctly, but I've never actually properly played through it. Blaze Blue. Borderlands 2 was on Vita. I didn't know that. There's some weird stuff on here. Capcom Classics Remix, $7.99. Wonder if that was ever released on PlayStation, on PS3 or something. I imagine it would have been. Cell Damage, PS4. Coconut Dodge. It's a weird one. Cliff Diving. Doesn't sound healthy at all. Wow, there's a lot on here. Considering that this store, obviously it's very, very slow, but they have, it does seem like they've done some maintenance to it to make it run a little bit faster. I don't know how many people are actually using PSN now on PS3, because I imagine at some point, given the fact they're dropping PS4 support for PSN games, I believe it's either the end of this year, or was it February, something like that next year, or March? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's going to be sad when that goes. But I mean, PS5 is what, 5 years into its generation now anyway, and they're talking about 2027 next gen. And given what they're talking about price wise and that, I'm not sure how things are going to play out. It's going to be a weird one. It is kind of cool. You see these people just made these games that are just very simple in nature, but cheap, and something you can sort of fez. That was a big one when that come out. I believe the developer of that actually, or was it the other one? I can't remember. One of them quit or something like that. There was some controversy. I can't remember off the top of it. I think I played Flower. No, was it Flower? No, was it Journey or something? I played one. Was like a person like floating in the world. He just sort of went traveling over different deserts, and I didn't get it. I was like, well, what is this? I didn't understand what the point of this was. There are some games I tend to find are so artsy, like I'm like, I don't get it. Like what's the draw? But again, each to his own. Show me what God of War Collection on Vita. Vita was a very, very impressive system. Well, actually, Sony killed it with there are whole reasons why it died. Obviously, the mobile phone became a big thing back then, particularly when the Vita came out or just after. And also the proprietary memory cards they use, if I remember correctly, they were ludicrously priced for the amount of memory you got with it. And then I think it was like a couple of $100 for like 32 or 64 gigs, or to about 128 or something. Which is just kind of idiotic. But that's what companies do sometimes. It's kind of weird. As a majority of these games, to be honest. But there's a lot of them, though. It's a lot of stuff when the store goes offline, this is a lot of stuff to lose, because they did say they were going to close it down. And then at the last minute, and this is back in 2020, I don't know, 2022, 2023, something like that. It was gone. It would be gone completely. I've got a couple of Lara Croft Go, a couple of mobile type games. There's a lot of Lego games on here. Hell of a lot of Lego games. Man, the list is endless. I didn't know Minecraft was on Vita as well. Mortal Kombat, MotoGP, Motorstorm RC. It's not. Is it like a Micro Machines version of Motorstorm? Interesting. Music packs. Oh, bloody lot of music packs as well. Pac-Man for Ridge Racer. Okay. It's different. And these are all for Vita. And they're all free. This is the thing. PSN, for playing online on PS3, was free. Whereas Xbox, it cost. And then obviously PlayStation did the same thing as Xbox and introduced PSN Plus. Oh, I remember that Nidhogg. I've been watching PlayStation Access, played that a lot. Ninja Gaiden. I did a video on the first Ninja Gaiden. It's alright. It's one of the characters from Dead or Alive, isn't it? But I don't know. I just don't find those games particularly that much fun. That's why I don't think I get on that well with the original God of War games for that same reason. But I've only played like 20 minutes of it, so sometimes it's always good to give the ability to actually sort of play something for a while and actually before sort of dismissing it, because I do have a bad tendency to do that sometimes. Will this list ever end? It just goes on and on. Prince of Persia, I played one of them and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was just, I don't know, it felt all style and no substance. But again, I only played it for about 10 minutes just to see what it was exactly. Revelations, I need to play that. Or Revelations 2, so I need to play that at some point. From what I've heard, it's quite a decent Resident Evil game. But because I'm not curbing back on digital. I still get digital games from time to time, but I want more of it physical, in case these networks ever go offline or anything. That looks like a right rip-off of Mario in a Sigma, a fart for, okay. Different. Silent Hill Book of Memories. It's not one I've heard of before. Book of Memories. Where have I? Interesting. That's only 12 quid as well. If only I had a Vita. God, this goes on forever. I've got Sonic Racing Transformed on Steam. Played a lot of that, in fact. To think all the stuff on this store just sits here. I've been eyeing a copy of that up. It's like 16 quid, but I'm going to wait for a while, I think. But it looks interesting. There was supposed to be a Tekken X Street Fighter, but I believe it was cancelled or something. I've played that once. It's not bad, actually. But again, it's one of those ones you really want to play with someone, I think. It's a bit more sort of fun. Ratchet and Clank. I've got one of the Jak. I only got Jak's 2 Renegade on PS2, I believe. But I've never played any of the Jak's games at all. And there are a lot of people that like them. Touch My Camera. I've heard about those kind of weird ass games where you roll like a ball around and pick things up. It's, again, I don't know. Urban Freestyle. There's a lot on here for Vita. Considering the Vita was only out for a few years. Wow. It's just endless. And the store seems to run a little bit more efficient than it used to. Mafia 2, I've got that on PS3. I've got it on disc. I've got it with that auction lot of games I got a few years back. Sonic Adventure. As I said in my last video, I'm not a massive fan of Sonic Adventure, but I'd like to try it again. I remember playing it originally on Dreamcast at like a kiosk, and at the time it looked amazing. I didn't gel with the not being able to collect rings with any precision, and but I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it again at some point. It's having the time, and I've got so many games, and I've got so many more games coming and stuff, and maybe in retirement. God, I feel old. Dead Island, they're quite good. I think I've played the other one, Dying Light, which is really, really good, but I never played much more than like 2 hours of it I think it was with my brother in co-op, and then we never went back to it again. So, but the Dead Island games are on, I think, just every platform. Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, never played the expansion for Far Cry 3, but the base game's decent. Sleeping Dogs, I got that as a digital code. I don't think I've even what it was on. With my Radeon or Radeon 70, was it 7878 or 7850? This is back in like 2012, and that was a gig video, a card of a gig of video memory. I'm currently running a card with 16 gigs. It's kind of incredible when you think about how much things have changed in terms of the advancement in technology. Never played Riptide. Complete edition, 16 quid. Full game. Oh, it's delisted. That is good. Other than the Most Wanted 2005 version, that particular game is excellent. It's on Game Pass, I think, on EA Play on Xbox as well. So it's good fun. It's really, really good fun. It's so much fun. Arcadey. There's a bit of damage physics to it, I believe, but the missions are really, really good, in particularly in multiplayer with friends. Streets Racing 2, I've got that on Mega Drive Kart a while back. Really, really good. Still want the third game, but not sure I can justify 150 quid for one game. So, Dead Space, that's the original. That's been remade since. Still very, very good, although the remake apparently is better in terms of, like, you got Isaac actually talks, and from my understanding, but I've had it eyed up, but again, money and time. Grand Theft Auto 4, never played it. I think I dabbled in it once, and that was about it. But 5 tends to be more well known and more well liked, I believe. But I think 4 came out, was it about 2008, 2009? And yeah, it's taken them nearly 11 years to do 6, which has just been put back till next November or something, I believe. It's a weird mix. Killzone and Infamous HD Classics. Sonic Adventure 2. I'll give Sonic Adventure one thing. It's better than Sonic Frontiers. I played the demo for that, and I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it at all. I just thought it was the world of the game. It just seemed to be completely lacking in anything going on other than just like ring posts and bits just randomly dotted around the world. It was like Breath of the Wild, but without. Well, to me anyway, it felt like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but with really not really much going on in the world, very bland. But again, I only played the demo for about half an hour. I think it was on Switch, I think. Don't like the Sonic Episode 2 games. The physics are weird, and as I said in the last video, there's a lot of death pits that are just come out at random from anywhere. So I don't know why it's like that. It's just bizarre to me, but each to their own, I guess, on that one. Never played Good or Evil, Beyond Good or Evil. I know there's a sequel that was announced by Ubisoft about 4 years ago, and there's been sod all seen of it since. So that probably bodes well. Borderlands Game of the Year. Borderlands 1 and 2 are excellent. 3 I couldn't stand, and it wasn't the gameplay was decent enough. It's just the comedy is just, it's not funny. It's the characters are irritating as shit. They're just loud and obnoxious, and there's a lot of toilet humor, which can be funny, but not the way they sort of portray it. And also Randy Pitchford is how can we say this? He must be one of the worst advertisements for any of the Borderline games, because he gets into arguments and fights with people on Twitter, and then he just doesn't shut up, and he just makes shit worse and worse. And yeah, so I don't know what exactly that he just defends just to such a degree, doesn't take any criticism for anything, and it just gets into Twitter wars. It's bizarre. I've never spoken to him on Twitter or anything, but from the things other people have said and from comments and that, I mean, maybe he means well, but it's a bizarre sort of thing to sort of fall into. Borderlands 1, 2, and there's one called the pre-sequel, I believe, as well, which I've not played through. But I had a lot of fun with Borderlands 1 on 360 with my brother. We played in, I think it was split screen on 360. Lords of Shadow, that is one I have been tempted to try and pick up at some point on disc, whether it's on PS3 or 360. But it's just a case of, if I'm not keen on God of War, those games are very similar, so we'll wait and see on that one. Dark Souls 2, didn't like the first Dark Souls game. Never played Elden Ring. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest. Dragon Age is alright, actually. It's decent enough. It's quite a fun game, although the later ones aren't, from my understanding, doing that well. Particularly, is it Veilguard? But I know it's got a fan base. I think EA's last hope, or BioWare, I should say, last hope is Mass Effect, because they've pretty much put the majority of their franchises, in terms of the popularity, into the ground to some degree, which, well, from what people are saying, I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I'm sure there are people that did enjoy Veilguard, I think that's what it's called. But I've never really, I don't know what it is, I've just never got into a lot of these JRPGs, other than a bit of Final Fantasy. I've just struggled to get into. I don't know why, because as I said many times, I enjoy Pokemon, particularly the old games and the DS games, but for some reason, when it comes to, like, I don't know what it is, there's just something that pulls me out. I don't know why. I've had that on Steam for about 12 years, and I've never played it. I've been told it's actually really, really quite good. It's like a run parkour type game, but again, I've never played it. RE4 is amazing. Most accessible Resident Evil game you'll probably ever come across. And there's also a remake that's probably even better because you can actually move and shoot and it as well. But a lot of people are fond of the original. Although your best version to get of that is probably the HD versions on the later, more modern systems, or GameCube version. The Wii version is good as well. It's also in VR. It's been ported more times than any game, I would imagine, at this point. Maybe ported more times than the original Sonic games, quite frankly. Saints Row is like a rip-off of GTA, but it has its own sort of personality, and it's bizarre, its personality. I've never really got into them. I had the second one, I think, on PS3. I think I flogged it in the end because I just didn't really interest me. I think the characters just were a little bit more, they're more zany and more comedic value there, I guess you could say. Ooh, Dead Space Super Bundle, what's that? It's delisted. Great. Dungeons, and that could be kind of interesting. I've even downloaded a couple of demos for this, for some of the games. Escape to Dead Island, never heard of it. Far Cry 2, I had that on PC, and it's really, really hard. If you got, like, you get malaria and stuff in it, it was bizarre. But I never really played for enough of it to really get an idea what the game was all about. I don't know when I purchased God of War. I don't remember ever purchasing that, ever. Unless it was like a free PSN game that, well, was part of... Did they give out games then? I can't remember if they did or not. They might have done. They possibly did, but I don't remember. But for some reason, maybe it's because I've got PSN on PS5, and it obviously covers everything, PS4, PS3, I assume, but I don't remember buying that at all. Mass Effect. Haven't played the first one. Played the second one. I've got it on it's my brother's on 360. Really, really good. But again, I've never really played enough of it to get really into it. Guns of the Patriots I've got twice. Excellent. Particularly the Shadow Moses stuff is awesome. It's really good with the flashbacks and that. But Metal Gear Solid 4 is a very mixed bag. There are parts of the game which are really irritating, and there are parts of the game that are really, really good. It's a very flawed experience, but it's a very unique experience, however you look at it. Phantom Pain, an amazing concept. The gameplay is incredible. You can do things, like you can set up missions and take in what equipment and people you want and stuff, but unfortunately, due to the falling out between Kojima and Konami, the game is completely unfinished. You can trigger some end cutscenes or end what would have been the end point of the game, but it's completely unfinished, and it will probably never get finished unless Konami go back in and maybe do something. Resident Evil Zero, very mixed bag of a game. Not bad. Operation Raccoon City, complete and utter shite, as I've said many times. Anything good about it is the what if scenarios where you can kill Leon or Claire or even Jill and the other characters that are actually in Raccoon City at that time period. So just watch it on YouTube. I wouldn't waste your time. The AI is dog shit. Awful game. But I understand there are people that will probably find it fascinating. Blacklist I've never played, and that's one that's not voiced by Michael Ironside, I believe. But yeah, I'd like to play that at some point. I think it was like 2015 that came out, that's right. But Splinter Cell's another one that's been on the back burner for over a decade, and Ubisoft just don't seem to do anything with it. Whether they can or not, I really don't know. Sonic the Hedgehog, Samurai Warriors on PS2, never heard of it. That's DLC for Last of Us. Didn't know that, never heard of it. Again, I've still got that on the shelf sat there. Splinter Cell HD Trilogy. I don't know what improvements the HD Trilogy has got other than maybe a frame rate improvement and obviously graphics might look a bit sharper. But I've got Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell. I think I've got it on Xbox. Chaos Theory, and I think I got Pandora's Tomorrow on PS2, I believe. Ape Escape is a PS1 game, I believe. Is that the Move one? Yeah, it's the Move one. I've not played that. Interesting. Assassin's Creed 2, Game of the Year edition. Not a really big fan of any of the Assassin's Creed games, barring the Odyssey and Origins of Sad.
So, continuation of the PlayStation 3 PSN store. Demos. Energy Edge, never heard of that one. London Detective. Played Dragon Quest Builders on, I think it was on PS4 actually, or one of them. It was quite good. I've never played a Dragon Quest game ever. It was quite good fun. Interesting mix of RPG type mechanics with Minecraft. Um, they're very popular. I've never really found the Lego games that engaging, but I know there are people that love them. Beyond Souls. I haven't played that final. I've got one of the Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13s. I think it might be the first one. Excellent game. Revelations. Yet to play Revelations 2. I've been downloading the Sly Cooper games on PS5 because I've heard people say good things about them. I really want to get into a next generation platforming game, but I just never find collectathons really that um, compelling to play. I don't know why it is. I remember that from the E3 showing, I believe. I may be repeating some of the stuff I'm saying. Harry Potter Lego or God of War. Ape Escape's a weird one. I think I have already shown the Ape Escape in the PSN video, and but I've never played the Move version. The only one I ever played was the first one. I think it was the one that was the first one of the first games to require the DualShock controller to actually play it. It was good. I remember that. Sports Champions. Excellent game. Jump to Dark Mist. Never heard of it. Medal of Honor used to be so good. The original, and it doesn't hold up by today's standards, but Medal of Honor, the very first one on the PS1 was immense. Like it was a completely new experience. It came out on PS1 and it was janky then and pretty rough. Uh, but there was a quality to it. It was like one of the first sort of, well, not the first, but one of like this movie quality games. And obviously it had sort of ties to Hollywood. It was, I think was it DreamWorks or something? I can't remember what it was, but it was immense. I think I went back to it a few years ago, and yeah, it's awful by today's standards. But I've never played Warfighter. EA haven't had that many hits, although Battlefield 6 is doing very well. Apparently, it's eclipsing Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Red Dead, play it. Excellent game. I've got the, is it the undead version of Red Dead Redemption? Uh, Walking Dead games. I think I played one of the episodes once. Batman's Telltale series. That was actually interesting, but I think they're out of business. I think they they closed down a few years back or something. Only Toy Story game I think I've ever played was the PS1 one? No, PS1 or PS or was it Toy Story 2? One of the two. I can't remember off the top of my head, but very, very popular franchise. Just seeing, because I am going over some games that I have already sort of gone through. That was popular, Retro City Rampage. MotoGP. Never really got into motorcycle games. I did enjoy the uh, Taka touring cars back on the PlayStation 1, I think it was. That was awesome. Especially when you got really frustrated because the game's controls were so twitchy. If you knocked the stick even slightly off, your car would veer off the track. But you got to the point where you got so frustrated that you just turn around and go in the other direction. Super Hang On, excellent Mega Drive game, sort of time based, good fun. Still really, really want to get a copy of Tekken X Street Fighter at some point. I've been eyeing it up, but I've I've spent ridiculous amounts of money on video games. I will do a pickups video for it probably maybe at the end of the week. I've still got a couple of things to come yet. You'll probably see Fable on PS5 now as well this next year, which is weird to think of Xbox games on a PlayStation and the odd X PlayStation game on Xbox. It's what world are we living in? Everyone goes on about Disgaea, is it? But no idea what it is. I see a lot of these JRPG, like, is it well JRPG with artsy style, like, is it Octopath Traveler? And I've played a little bit on Game Pass, and it's quite good actually once you get into it. But it's just so drawn out, the text, the stories, and I mean, I shouldn't be in the rush to get through a game. I should just enjoy the experience. But I do tend to find myself, you know, getting a bit impatient. Maybe that's something I should work on. Again, everyone goes on about Persona games, and the only one I've ever given the proper chance really was Final Fantasy VII Remake. And once I got started to understand the mechanics, I got into it to some degree, but I haven't gone back yet. I've got to write a list of games I've got on a backlog and just start ticking those games and completing them before moving on to new stuff, whether it's modern stuff or retro stuff. Because my backlog, as I showed in a different video, was just or a previous video. It's just ridiculous at this point. Bulletstorm, very popular. Kind of, I don't know. It looked alright. I played the demo. It was very much cool kills and stuff, but very much style with some substance, I guess you could say, in terms of the gameplay mechanics. But again, not one I've given enough time. Defiance, I might have said before, but I believe that was based on a TV show. Metal Slug's really fun. They're arcade type shooters. They're good fun. I think a lot of these are just like some of the early first arcade games that come out on PSN. Because of this generation, Xbox 360 was leading the pack when it came to online. PlayStation slowly caught up over time, but it took a while. And I had my PlayStation 3 and I was really excited to have it, and I had the very few games. And my brother sat there playing on his Xbox 360, having a whale of a time on Gears, COD, and with his friends, and I'm sat there on my PlayStation feeling like kind of lonely, if I'm honest. Here's the something that confuses me. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. The games that have come out now, Modern Warfare 3 again, it's the same named game, and I'm not sure about Modern Warfare 2 or not. Um, uh, is it just this? Is it just the same game remade, or am I missing something? I can't keep track. Now that was good. I played that back in, oh God, 2001, and I played it on my PC, which at the time was a AMD. This is gonna nerd me out. Athlon XP 2500 Plus, if I remember correctly. I think the socket was something like 462, and it would have been 512 megabytes of RAM with, I think it was a Radeon, was it a 9550 or 9650? Something I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, good times, simple times. Crisis 1, played it. I've got it on PC on disc. I've actually got an Indian, I think it's an Indian copy that you go into had to figure out how to go into the text me file and change the language to English, but it was like half the price of when the original Crisis came out. I've got the second one on 360, and I've played a little bit of it, but they're very much style over substance. Particularly the first game, it was like 2007. It was a PC killer. It would just tank any PC's graphics card and frame rate. It was just immense. Kenyon Lynch, very popular. Not sure why, but each to his own. Painkiller, I've heard a few quite interesting things about that. And your themes. And wow, they does anybody want that? That film did not go down well. That was a weird film because they used sort of tried to tie it into Ghostbusters too, But then when you watch the film, like it was a complete comedy to such a degree that there was because Ghostbusters, well, in my personal opinion, I think Ghostbusters is it's comedy, but it's not a straight comedy. There's a lot of serious situations, whilst bizarre but comical situations arise. But the female Ghostbusters film just played it completely as slapstick, and it just didn't. It just doesn't play right, in my opinion. Particularly, they had um, Chris Hemsworth as the receptionist, and I was like, oh my god, like there's. I guess there's some elements of funny to it, but there's levels of stupidity that you like. A guy that wears glasses, but he doesn't like the lenses in his glasses, so he doesn't have the lenses in his glasses. I'm sort of like, well, then does I don't know. It was bad. Uh, you know, Afterlife was at least a decent successor to some degree to Ghostbusters 2, because that is technically the canon follow-on from the original films, barring the game, of course. Um, and then Frozen Empire was okay, a bit mixed if I'm honest, but it wasn't the worst, but certainly wasn't the best. And I think that's basically it on the PlayStation Store. Um, I think they've done some updates because it does run a little bit smoother than before. Spotify? Never used Spotify in my life. We've got a few apps. Amazon. To think this was before even Netflix and stuff. Given the speed of the system, it would probably take you forever to load anything. Even if you were to put an SSD in the PS3, because of the, as I said before, the transfer data rate speed. I think it's like SATA 1 or something. I can't remember the exact terminology. Um, it would never take advantage of it, unfortunately. Headset companion. Huh. Netflix is on here, and what is cool is I think I haven't shown it in the video, but if you go on PlayStation News, PlayStation Access is on here, and I like PlayStation Access. They're always a good laugh, and they do a lot of good. They've had a lot of really good hosts, and just the whole crew is amazing. And there's ones of ones of Dave on there, and Rob, Rob with hair as well, which is cool as hell. Um, Shout out to PlayStation Access, but they're all on here. Like, well, the old ones all the way up to, is it episode 71? So you can actually download these. I do think maybe someone should maybe archive all these before they disappear, because there's some. I mean, they might. I imagine they're on the PlayStation Access YouTube channel or website. But yeah, it's a good look back if you fancy a good blast from the past, the PS3 generation. Um, as much as I've said in the past that PS3 frustrates me but it's just because of how difficult it is to record it. But anyway, I will leave it there, and that's basically the PlayStation Free Store. Be nice to, well, hopefully it'll run for a while longer yet. But I imagine Sony gonna be looking at it going, well, no one's using it, let's just get rid of it. But that's all the stuff I've done. The games are so small. All right, they take an eternity to download and install, but they're so small in comparison. It's immense. But anyway, I've got Splinter. Splinter. Why do I always keep saying Splinter? Hitman. I picked up the Hitman trilogy on PS3, the HD one. I've got the first, or not the first Hitman. The is it the second one on PS2? But to be honest, my PS2 the drive's looking very janky. So, and it was my OBS device was struggling with. I assume, and I'm just assuming, it switches resolutions when it goes into the menus. So I think that might have caused a few issues. So install the HD edition, and then we shall see. Anyway, thank you for listening to me rant, and I hope this video is informative.